Well, it's a natural way to live because we respirate, we breathe out. So the natural thing to do is to detox every day in some fashion. Evacuate, whichever track you want to use. I like to use a more natural system rather than throwing up. For instance, that is an alarming way to evacuate toxins. So if we're just slowly, lightly doing that, lightening the load of the mucus and the plaque and the residue just from combustion of food, yes, every day.
So it's not unhealthy, it doesn't leach minerals from the body or any of those things that you hear uninformed people saying. So if I'm telling someone, hey, use Dr. Miller's Holy Tea, is it safe to use every day? Should I be taking this product, or should I cycle on and off of it?
Yes, well, we lose all those precious minerals and other things that we want to keep. No, it only takes out that which is unnatural, this holy tea, from the body, and the heavy metals, like the mercury and the lead and the arsenic and the nickel. If you wear pierced earrings, you're going to get nickel in your body, that kind of thing. Yeah, it will not take away from you that which you need and want. So the lighter minerals are always left there.
Okay.
And vitamins.
Let's talk about the natural process of how we should be, having a bowel movement, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't understand that it should be, the meal in, meal out theory. So let's get into that a little bit.
Well, the natural transition time from orifice to orifice, let's say in a normal situation, it's not coming out your ears. As you absorb food and break it down, it should really be about a 24-hour cycle at the longest. And Dr. Miller has said some people carry as many as 26 meals in their body at a time. So yes, your breath will be sweeter, your skin will be clear and full of color because there's oxygen in your blood if you're absorbing your food and you have one meal in and one meal out.
So what is the natural, in the United States, for example, what would be the natural process of elimination for someone in day-wise? So if I eat a meal today, a normal, unhealthy person in America.
Yes, good question. About what is the transition time? Yeah, as you consume a meal, 10 hours, 12 hours, because that's all the longer your track is. If you're consuming something like pork, for instance, it can't be digested in just 12 hours. So it actually can't be utilized and is draining energy from the body. Vegetables you can consume and fruit very quickly. So there's 10 hours, end to end.
Okay, so what are the negative effects of someone who, I've talked to several people lately, and my conversations have been more about bowel movements lately than ever in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
What are the negative effects of someone not having regular bowel movements?
Okay, and a bowel movement means that is only that part of the alimentary canal that is lessening the load, okay, that's not necessary, however you want to refer to that. Your lungs do that, actually. Your skin does that. Tears do that. There's various other ways to do it as well. And so what is natural then is to not have odor there. If you're a meat eater, there's going to be, because you're eating cadaverous kinds of membrane that has decayed if it's been aged. Let's face it, that's what makes it more chewable and more expensive, which is ironic. But if you eat something that's full of natural enzymes, like vegetables that carry their own means to be broken down so it doesn't have to borrow from the body, we have enzymes, and we have to donate them if we're eating dead food. So I don't eat out of bags and boxes and bottles. I eat as much sunshine and spring water that I can, just as directly as I can. And then the whole tract, and the lower tract being the bowel, that's so obvious because we don't really notice what comes out of our lungs or even out of our nose. If it's coming out of your nose, you're eating ice cream and probably a lot of dairy. For instance, it's just showing you psoriasis, dandruff, those are all other sort of emergency evacuation portals.
What is the most extreme healing you've ever seen from someone using Dr. Miller's Holy Tea? What's the best case scenario of something you've seen in a testimonial?
The best case or dramatic?
Well, dramatic, yeah. I say best because it's probably the most miraculous thing.
Well, the best case healing I've probably seen is from somebody who's severely congested, I'd have to say. Number one, they feel dizzy, okay? They maybe feel a little nauseous, and that would be a dramatic healing. We call it Herxheimer effect. It's the only way to get to the root of the situation is to evacuate it. We don't use scalpels. I don't, as a naturopathic doctor. I don't use drugs to numb the pain because that's a signal system. That tells you where the problem is so I can know how to work with you. And I don't burn or radiate people because that's a shutdown. So in other words, I've tried to put life force back in the body. And the most dramatic one that I have seen is a person who was not having a bowel movement, but like every 2 weeks. Okay, this is a person who was not that old. They also wanted to have children, and they weren't able to conceive. I mean, it was just shutdown time. The whole track was going down. They had pallor. They weren't moving and bending over and tying their own shoes. They couldn't even see their feet. Dr. Miller has said if you cannot see your shoes, or if you have 2 or 3 inches more on your belt than you did in high school, you're infested with parasites. Well, this person started drinking the tea, and only the diluted tea, not the concentrate, because I wanted to give them direct John Wayne shots, just to kind of, grenade it out there. But they drank it slowly, and in 4 weeks, everything was regulated perfectly. They looked younger, much younger. And the cheeks were pink, their eyes were changing, their attitudes were great. But it didn't take long. It was just 8 ounces twice a day with meals warm, and 4 ounces when you're munching on something in between meals. That's all it takes.
So,
and she's pregnant.
Oh, beautiful. Someone's out there that's given up. They've lost all hope. They're on prescription medications. Their life is horrible. And what would your encouragement be to that person? It doesn't even necessarily need about the tea or a business, or what would you say to someone who's out there just kind of surfing the internet and came upon this thing and heard you say something, and you're the last person they're hearing for their life right now? What would you say?
Well, I think there's 2 things people look for in life. How important am I? And what can you do to improve my life? I mean, what am I doing right and well? And what can you do to enhance my life? That's what they're looking for. Well, that's what this does. Right away, they're outwardly going to look better. They're going to act better. They're going to smell better. They're going to have a relief in their voice that life is flowing. And what can it do for them? Well, in my case, there was an illustration of a probability of allowing other people to have this tea. What could happen in just 4 weeks of a good amount of money. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, how much money, but of over $600. And I actually earned in my first 4 weeks over $950. So what we're shown is possible here with this outline of reciprocity, we could call it commissions, is absolutely accurate. It's very worthwhile.